In the article Leadership versus Management by Cumley and Kelly, Cumley and Kelly say that leadership and management in the business world today are two opposing styles. The authors attempt to describe the differences between management and leadership and show how one is superior to the other. Cumley and Kelly say that in today's business world, everybody is striving to improve teamwork. And so when you look at management versus leadership, it has to be judged within the framework of teamwork. And it's obvious from the very beginning of this article that the authors favor leadership over management. In fact, the authors view leaders as inspiring others to work together, where their view of managers as taskmasters who hold every mistake against an employee in an effort to make their lives miserable and to the ruin of their organizations. Cumley and Kelly list the differences between leadership and management as such. They say leadership builds an environment of trust. They cast the vision and then leave it up to their employees to figure out how best to accomplish that vision. They also put people first. They put their employees first. They empathize with their employees. And if things aren't going well, maybe they'll reframe their job, or maybe they'll look to retrain them to be able to do something else. The communication in a leadership organization is also open and honest, either good or bad communication, and it flows up and down the organization very freely so that there's no surprises amongst employees. And vision is the end product, not a determined path. So leadership casts the vision and the employees are free to determine the best way to accomplish that vision. In contrast, the authors define management in a very different way. They say managers control by fear, where roles are very rigidly defined and employees have to play those roles with no questions asked. Management focuses on getting the job done. And so if an employee is not doing the work, instead of reframing their job or retraining, they'll fire the employee and simply rehire somebody that they feel can do the job better. Communication is always very different, where it's based on a need-to-know basis. And so employees always feel like managers are holding information and withholding that from them. And so they're always waiting to be surprised by what's going to happen next. They also define management as a my way or the highway type of organization, where feedback from employees is not welcome because there's only one way to do things, and that's the way that the managers say. And so there's no feedback necessary in that type of organization. So Cumley and Kelly extol the benefits of a strong team-based environment, which I would agree with. I do think that a well-run team can accomplish much more than a talented individual. But I don't agree with their assessment that leaders are good and managers are bad. This doesn't equate to the things that I've read, nor does it equate to my experience. My organization is an example of communication. We've grown in the last 10 years from a small organization with a few employees to a large organization. We are led by a great leader. We look very different. He's got a great vision of the future. We have teams that are working together and enjoying their work and communicating well. But in the last 2 years, we've done an employee engagement survey. And through that survey, what we found is overall communication is a problem for us. And this isn't because we have a management-led organization as opposed to a leadership organization, but as we've grown over the last 10 years, what we've realized is we've struggled to figure out how to communicate well throughout a larger organization as opposed to a small organization. And so I would reject their ideas of communication between leadership and management. Also, I did work for a leader one time who was a great visionary. In fact, he was all vision. We'd listen to him, we'd get inspired, we'd get motivated. But once we walked away, we had no idea how to get anything done, and neither did he. And to be honest with you, that impacted his leadership to a certain degree. In Chapter 8 of our reading here in Unit 2, Simon Robinson says that really neither role, management nor leadership, is pure, but all great leaders have some management skill, and all great managers also have some leadership skill. And I think that's probably a much better definition of leadership and management. In fact, a good friend of mine used to be the CEO of Ditch Witch, a very successful organization. He now runs a nationwide consulting firm, and we've done some consulting with him. He's a great visionary. I can't sit there and talk with him too long before he always helps me to think about things in different ways and see a preferred future. So he's a great visionary. But he also rejects this simplistic idea of leadership and management being two different and separate things. He says even though he was a great leader and really helped grow the business and the profits of Ditch Witch, that he never would have ascended to the CEO and been a successful CEO if he also didn't have some management skill. So ultimately, I reject Cumley and Kelly's ideas of management and leadership. There's no research to their definitions. It was simply their opinions, and I found their opinions too simplistic.